Okay, here we go.
Woohoo!
So welcome everyone. We are excited to have you here and to be sharing with you one of my favorite investment deals that we love to do, and one of my business partners that we've been doing a lot of things together for well over a decade now. So this is we're going to be diving into your next investment move and a deep dive into profitable real estate deals, which is commercial real estate. One of the things that I love to talk about is that over my investment career that I love being the bank and I love renting dirt. And this actually accomplishes both of those. So we're going to dive into this and go ahead and get started. So I'm Catherine with Titan Impact Group, and this is Adam Hansen. And our
Hello.
focus is that we leave every person, property, and community better than we found them. And so for those of you who have never met us, we're going to dive into who we are and our experience, and then dive into what this opportunity is. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. So moving forward, first of all, you need to understand is that we are not accountants. We are not legal counsel. We're not attorneys, anything like that. And so anytime you do anything, any investments, you need to understand that you need to be consulting with your team on every investment, whether it be with us or anybody else, and making sure that you really do understand the numbers and you understand the whole process and understand that this is not a solicitation and this is a 506C, which is for accredited investors only. So if you are an accredited investor, you are in the right place. If you're looking for passive streams of income, you are in the right place. And that's what we're going to go over today. So who are we? We have a really extraordinary team of people that has literally decades and decades and decades of experience in all different types of investing and running businesses and stuff. And so this particular investment, it is Adam and I who are the experts in this particular area. So we're going to dive deeper into that. So again, my name is Catherine Bell. I am the co-founder of Titan Impact Group. And I just have a short video just to explain a little bit more about who I am. So here we go. So my name is Catherine Bell, and I am here to tell you about why I'm a sentinel of the American dream. My journey actually began in Northern Canada. I was born to a teenage mother, and I was in and out of more homes than you can possibly count, and ended up going to 13 different schools and didn't actually learn to read until I was in the 8th grade. But I did get straight A's. And how did I do that? It's because I learned very quickly that they didn't want you to actually think, they just wanted you to get the right answer. So if you could figure out how to get the right answer, you got straight A's, and that's what I did. So through that entire journey, I had younger siblings. They ended up getting adopted. I knew that I was headed down a really horrible trajectory, and something needed to happen. So by the time I was 16 years old, I actually did get myself adopted by a family that absolutely changed the course of my life forever. And that allowed me to go on and graduate and eventually go off to college. I ended up traveling the world. And from there, got to explore and discover that there were so many different ways that a person could actually live versus the childhood that I was born into. And went on to do a bunch of volunteering, which is where I ended up actually meeting my late husband. And we got married in 2001. He's an American. And he actually had a dream. So it was choosing, Canada, United States. We chose the United States because he's American. And so we took his dream and we turned it into a multi-million-dollar company and turned it around later and sold it. And so what was extraordinary about that experience is I came to this country at 26 with nothing. And by the time I was 30, we were millionaires, hence the American dream, which was extraordinary. And in that time of that journey, discovered that we couldn't actually have children. And one of the things that I like to really talk about is that when we hold on to a vision, but we let go of the picture, then magic shows up in all different ways. So we ended up adopting our twins out of the foster care system. We got them when they were 4 months old, a boy and a girl. That's what I wanted. That was my vision. And so we got our twins, and ended up living, truly, it was the American dream at the time, at least for our little family. And fast forward, my twins were in about kindergarten, first grade, and up to that point, my husband had been a really great provider for our family, and he ended up actually getting really, really sick. And when he got sick, that actually forced me to actually go back to work and provide for our family. And so here I was, a mom, a wife, now back at working in the family. So taking care of my very sick husband, taking care of my twins, everything there was to make that happen. But the beautiful thing about being that is women, we just make it all work. And so I ended up working with several companies and adding a lot of comments to their bank accounts. Through that entire time, understood a couple of concepts, is that the average millionaire had 7 streams of passive income. So the question I kept asking myself is, how many did I have and how many did I want? So while I was working my jobs, I was also involved in real estate investing and to create those passive streams of income. So through that time, we had done buy and hold, discovered I don't really like tenants and toilets, done some wholesaling, which, that's good money initially, but it doesn't create the actual passive streams of income. I ended up going on and starting my own hedge fund. And it was a vacation rental hedge fund. So discovered that through vacation rentals, turns out I don't like guests and toilets either, but gave myself permission to try lots of different avenues of real estate investing. And each one springboarded on the other, meaning that I would take and glean what I learned, what worked, what didn't work, what I loved, what I didn't love, and then use that for the next adventure of real estate investing until I ultimately, really figured out what I loved. So through that, we had done residential developments, commercial developments. I was running a program called the Flipping Females here in the Phoenix Valley, and really partnering with other women, other people, and teaching them how to actually invest. We flipped about 500 properties here in the Valley, which was a lot of fun. Then in 2018, my husband died unexpectedly. And it was very tragic. I ended up being a widow and single mom with 14-year-old twins. It was hard. But because of the passive streams of income I created for our family, that's what got us through. I created 13 streams of passive income, which is another part of the American dream, because what we know is that money is like oxygen. The more you have, the easier it is to breathe. And the more you have, the easier you can breathe, the bigger the difference in the world you can make. So those streams of income gave my twins and I the breathing room to do what we need to do to figure out what we're going to do. And I got really clear in that next year what actually mattered to me. Shut down my hedge fund, shut down everything that I was doing, and got clear on 2 things. Through real estate investing, because I had really intentionally gleaned what I loved and who I was and what mattered to me, I learned 2 things about myself: that I love renting dirt and I love being the bank. Being the bank, if you understand real estate investing, that there's multiple roles you can have in any real estate investment transaction. You can be the buyer, the seller, the contractor, subcontractor, realtor, title company, bank, all of it. But being the bank ultimately is the safest, most secure position you can be in any real estate investing transaction. And because if anything happens to the deal, you ultimately get the property and then can turn around and sell it and at least get your initial investment back if it's done right. The second thing that I love is renting dirt. And what I mean by that is that we invest in mobile home and RV parks, and we just rent the dirt. So we're not responsible for the structures. But what I love about it is that it provides an opportunity for affordable housing, and it's scalable, because the difference between buy and holds or everything else we were doing, it just wasn't scalable. And so this is scalable, and that's what I love. So creating the multiple streams of passive income is a big part of that. And so continuing to create passive streams of income, not only for my family, but for other families, has become a huge passion of mine. And helping people understand why they're here and why this matters. So again, back to being the sentinels of the American dream. So my company's vision and mission is that my own personal vision and mission is that we're the sentinels of the American dream, and that we leave every person, property, and community better than we found them. And so what I'm here for is all of this, these passive streams of income lead into my why, which is my nonprofit, and that's Bell Community Empowerment Foundation. And how this all ties together is that there's over 500,000 children in the U.S. foster care system. 350,000 are available for adoption today, and it costs less than $1,000 to adopt a child. And so when you work with the right adoption agency that specializes in this type of adoption, the impact is huge. So if you understand that these children in the foster care system, when they stay in the foster care system, it's literally costing taxpayers billions of dollars. At their 18th birthday, if they haven't been adopted and they age out of the foster care system, what happens is they experience Black Trash Bag Day, meaning on their 18th birthday, they're handed a black trash bag, told to put all their belongings in it, and then they're out. So if you understand that 80% of the people who were actually homeless came out of the foster care system. And so what does that mean? Now, drugs, prostitution, trafficked, which is a huge epidemic, and incarcerated, costing taxpayers billions more. So my nonprofit focuses on partnering with churches and these specialized adoption agencies to be able to get the word out and get them fully funded to be able to help families get connected to these right children so that they can create their own families with these children. Again, I was adopted when I was 16, and it changed the course of my life. I did get my babies from the foster care system, and they were 4 months old. So think about this, these 350,000 children. There's more than 350,000 congregations in this country. If each church takes on finding one family to adopt one child, we can get this done in our lifetime. But bigger than that, what if 1% of those 350,000 children was so inspired from being loved and having a family just like me, just like I was? That'd be 3,500 kids that grow up to be 3,500 adults that decide to go make a difference in the world. So that is me. That is what I'm passionate about. I am clear every single one of you out there wants to make a difference, and you have a calling that you're called here and you have a purpose to support. Either it's a nonprofit or create your own, whatever it is. But that is why, if you can add commas to your bank account, you must. And you must be unapologetic about it, because in this country, compassionate capitalism, that is what this country is all about. So that is what I'm passionate about, is we find the deals, we have the investors, we create turnkey solutions for families to have passive streams of income and ultimately make the difference that they're here to make while they're here. So that is me. I am Catherine Bell. Thank you for your time.
So that is me. And now we get to learn all about the fabulous Mr. Adam Hansen. So here we go.
Hi, my name is Adam Hansen, and I'm fortunate today to tell you a little bit about myself. I work with Catherine Bell at Titan Impact Group. I grew up here in Arizona. I love the outdoors. I love being a part of nature, being out, exploring, going on adventures, and having new experiences. Whether I'm competitive shooting or backpacking the superstitions with my son or out hunting, I just really, really enjoy the outdoors and that camaraderie that can come from that. I was fortunate enough to get into real estate about 20 years ago. I can remember it well. I was out working for a neighbor, and I was out cleaning his car. And another neighbor drove up in his brand new 6 Series BMW car. And he said, "Hey, Adam, what do you want to do with your life?" And I remember looking at him just hot and sweaty in the Arizona sun saying, "Well, I got a job at Bank of America, and I'm going to start school, college in the fall, and I'm going to figure it out." And he said, "Well, hey, I tell you what, looks like you're a hard worker. If you go get your real estate license, I'll hire you at my real estate company, my commercial real estate company, and you can be my runner." And I didn't really know anything about real estate other than you lived in a house. And I had no idea what being a runner meant, but the pay was slightly better than what Bank of America was going to pay me. And so I jumped at the chance and went and got my real estate license and started working at his company. The first couple of years were phenomenal. This was 2005, 2006, 2007. As a young kid, made some great money. It was phenomenal. It was fun. I got to learn the industry. But then I got a pretty rude awakening in 2008. I just gotten married and went from making great money to virtually making no money. And I remember at the time going to my designated broker who owned the company and said, hey, like, this is not cool anymore. Like, what do I do? Like, how do you really make money in real estate, right? And I remember his answer was a bit depressing. He said, well, here's what you do. You've got to work really, really hard for like 10, 15, 20, 25 years. You've got to save up $300,000-400,000. Then you've got to take that $300,000 or $400,000 and go and invest it into a deal, and you just got to hope it goes well. I remember leaving his office going, wow, that sucks. Maybe I'm in the wrong industry. Maybe I got to do something else. But I went out and kind of went on a journey and started looking at, okay, how can I take what I love about real estate and find better ways to do it? What other opportunities? And that's when I got into learning about wholesaling, about how flipping homes. And it really helped me to look at real estate from the perspective of owning it and being creative with it, other than just being a real estate agent. And it really opened my eyes to a lot of different possibilities that were out there. So fast forward now, I'm very excited because the company we've built is all about empowering entrepreneurs. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always been fascinated with entrepreneurship, right? I was the kid that had the lawn mowing business when I was 8, 9 years old, right? Running around trying to build my own business. And I've always had a passion to want to help entrepreneurs and find ways how I can use my talent and ability in real estate to empower these entrepreneurs to be more successful. And I feel like we've unlocked that in the medical office space. Essentially what we do is we have a company where we go partner with the physicians, we go partner with the doctors, and we say, we want to help you be very, very good at what you do, but we're going to help you grow so you can have a greater impact on lives. Traditionally, if these doctors want to go open a new location, they've kind of got that same mentality. They've got to save up money for 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years, pull out a significant amount of money out of their operating account to go open up a new location. And for a lot of them, it's very, very daunting. And over the course of their career, they're only able to get 2 to 3 locations opened. And that's if they're being aggressive. So what we do is we partner with them, and we'll come in and we'll purchase the real estate for them. And we will leverage the power of a commercial lease, meaning the doctor's going to sign a commercial lease with me. And then we're going to take that lease together and we're going to go to Wall Street and to the big REITs and everyone else that takes advantage of these small entrepreneurs. And we're going to leverage that lease now for the maximum amount of dollars. That way we can provide them with the tenant improvement dollars they need. We can provide them with some operating capital, and we can now help them get to their dream and their goal of opening multiple locations a lot faster. That way they can have a greater impact on their patients' lives, and they can do more with what they're passionate about. And that's what I've grown to really love about real estate now, is my ability to empower those other entrepreneurs and help them get to where they want to be faster.
So now that you've got to know a little bit about Adam and I, and who we are and what is so important to us, we're going to go ahead and dive into the beautiful world of medical office space. So just like what Adam said, inside of, working with these doctors, I love that everything that we do is committed to a win-win relationship. So financing, Adam, you want to talk about this, about just a little deeper dive into financing their growth? I love that.
Yeah, so kind of our tagline we utilize, and thank you everyone for your time today, but the tagline we utilize is, we finance your growth through a commercial lease. And it really is empowering when you understand how major corporations like Starbucks and McDonald's, how they grow. They don't grow because they, make a lot of money selling a cup of coffee. They grow because they understand the ability to leverage that commercial lease. And that's how they go from, 100 locations to thousands of locations in a very short amount of time. It's not because they're great at making hamburgers or cups of coffee. They can leverage the power of that commercial lease. And so we just wanted to take that same concept and give entrepreneurs that same ability, that same power that they can also grow and achieve their version of the American dream. Part of how we work with people is we always ensure that it has to be a win-win, right? We're never going to do a deal unless it's beneficial for them. And then ultimately, like as Catherine's mentioned, we're capitalists and we don't shy away from that. And we aren't shy away from earning a buck either, right? It's got to be a win-win. And when we create that really symbiotic relationship where everybody gets to win, you find that work is no longer work, right? You get to enjoy what you do, and you get to be around people that you enjoy being around.
So the next piece that we're going to show you is this is what the doctors see so they can understand the process. So we want you to see it from an investor standpoint and then from a doctor operator. We even do this with franchise companies. So this is just a little snippet of what they see.
Grow your medical practice quickly? It can take 3 to 5 years to do this organically, but there's a better way. We partner with medical providers like you by financing your growth through a commercial real estate lease that can include tenant improvement dollars, equipment, abated rent, and other expansion costs. Our process is simple. We start by jointly choosing locations that fit your needs. Once a location is selected, you execute a commercial lease with us. We then collaborate on your branded tenant improvements. Voila! Welcome to your new clinic. Our services assist to accelerate your practice's expansion without the financial burden, only requiring a commercial lease, strong financials, security deposit, and first month's rent, allowing you the additional time, money, and freedom to focus on what matters to you.
So hopefully you can see the benefit and why doctors and other entrepreneurs, franchise owners, things like that absolutely love this. We always like to say, if it's your genius, it's your job. If it's not your genius, it's not your job. And we want doctors to stay focused on being doctors and business owners stay focused on being business owners. And what I love about it is the genius. This is Adam's and my genius that we get to take care of the real estate piece for them. So there are 3 types of leases that Adam, you want to cover this?
Yeah. So part just for your education, we want you to understand really, and we can't emphasize it enough, the power of that commercial lease. And everybody says, invest in real estate because, real estate's one of the easiest things to get financing for. When you combine real estate with the power of a commercial lease, then it's exceptionally easy to get, financing for, and your investment is very, very secure. But as all investment types, the devil's always in the details, right? You need to ensure that you have the right type of commercial lease. So really, really quick, there's what's called a gross or full service lease. There's modified gross, and then there's a triple net lease. For our purposes, we always want to be investing in a triple net lease. And what that means is that us as the landlord, we're going to get the rent check, and then whatever it costs us to own and operate that property, those are costs that we get to pass on to the tenant, right? So if property taxes go up, utility costs go up, snow removal, whatever it is, we have the ability through that lease to pass those costs of ownership on to the tenant, right? And what's so powerful about that is it protects our initial investment, right? And it guarantees the amount of rent that's going to be coming in every month. We don't have to, be constantly interviewing the right landscaper or be constantly worried about, well, if the AC goes out, then that's going to, kill our cash flow for the entire year, right? The power of that triple net lease is it gives us the ability to pass all of those risks on to the tenant.
So speaking of risks, let's talk about that.
Yeah. So some of the things to consider when investing with us or in any, in any investment opportunity, and specifically for this one, is you always need to be able to look at the credit worthiness of the tenant. And that's probably where we spend most of our time, is we have to ensure that these tenants that we're working with and partnering with are, investment grade, if you will, because really what we're doing is we're investing in them. We're investing in their business. we're investing in their operation. And so a lot of times the type of companies we're working with are not just a one location doctor necessarily. They're going to be multiple location doctors. We kind of want them to have gone through the pain of, having a second and a third location and having the operational status to be able to manage that and the people and the systems. So that way they can be duplicatable, if you will. It's not just one doctor, checking people in, seeing them, and then trying to bill them later, right? And also our model lends itself very, very well to much larger groups. We work with a lot of regional and national groups that have up to 50 to 100 different locations. They're very, very seasoned companies, and they love our model to utilize them to grow even faster. The other benefit, the other thing to consider is we help the tenants understand that lease is more like a financing mechanism, right? We're going to finance the growth of your business through a commercial lease. And once they understand that it is a financing mechanism funding that growth, then we're able to secure long-term leases, right? And that's the other key component. We don't want to come in and buy a building and then, the standard commercial lease is 3 years. We don't want to take that type of risk that the tenant might relocate or leave. So we want this to be a long-term commitment. And so we insist on getting anywhere from, we'll do a 10-year lease, but typically we're getting 15 to 20-year leases. And then of course, there's always the risk, despite all of our best efforts, that that the tenant just becomes insolvent, right? Or somebody embezzles or Enron or whatever it is, right? There's always going to be some risk associated with it, but we do a very good job of going through vetting out the tenants and also our lending partners as well. I mean, the guys on Wall Street that lend us the money to be able to buy the buildings, their credit underwriting committees are painful as they do a deep dive into all of the tenants' financials to understand them, to ensure that they're going to be a good investment as well.
I love that.
So yeah, I think we kind of touched on that. So there can be some risks if the construction process takes a little bit longer. Again, we touched on if the tenant becomes insolvent, and then the greater economic conditions. I think we're all becoming more and more accustomed to just operating in a little bit of an unknown economic situation. But there's also a lot of great opportunities there. And as we talked about, part of the ways that we insulate ourselves from that is our leases state that the rent will commence at a certain time, not necessarily coinciding with the completion of the tenant improvements. So typically we'll give tenants anywhere from 3 to 6 months after we buy the building to get the construction done. And after that time, rent commences. And they agree to that because we're paying for the vast majority of the tenant improvement cost. So even though they might be paying rent on a building they're not operating in, they understand the bigger picture, and they don't mind paying rent on it because, again, they're understanding it as a financing mechanism. And if they had bought the building and were doing tenant improvements, they would be making payments to the bank just like they make payments to us. And then, yeah.
So we're going to dive into some projects that we've already been through, which are pretty awesome. So let's go through some of these cool examples.
Story time.
Right?
Yeah, so this was fun. So we this was a deal we were able to do out in Texas. And this was partnering with a company that does some really, really cool work. They do wound care, but they use bariatric pressure chambers to kind of help stimulate blood flow. And the awesome part is they're on the cutting edge of being able to help with PTSD and brain injury. So it's really, 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 really cool business model. But given the equipment that they need and the real estate needed to support that equipment, meaning fire suppression system, oxygen tanks, all those things that require, it's very, very expensive, and it was hard for them to get additional locations opened. So we were able to come along and we were able to put this deal together. We bought the building for $1.2 million, provided them about $500,000 in tenant improvements. And before we even closed on the real estate, we had a group come to us and said, "Hey, can we buy that? Can we just take over that deal for you guys?" And so we were able to work out a deal and assigned it to them for $2 million. So we made a pretty good profit on about a $75,000 raise, and that process took us 4 months to be able to do that.
It's pretty fabulous.
And then this one was another one, again, was an OBGYN and a family practice where they wanted to work together, again in Texas. And this was in a very low income part of town. It's kind of funny, the property right here next door is a salvage yard. But these
Wow.
guys came into town and they really, really wanted to make a difference in a part of town that was a little bit rough. So we came in and said, okay, we like what you guys are doing. We like the business model. We like that there's a couple of tenants. So we were able to, again, buy the building for $1.6 million or work with the, get the building purchased for $1.6 million, do the tenant improvements for 620 and be able to sell it for 2.6 million. That process took about 13 months or so to be able to do start to finish. We did hold it for a little while to be able to cash flow it.
Again, another beautiful example of leaving every person, property, and community better than we found them.
Yeah.
I love this. So here's another fabulous example of that too.
I always laugh at this one. So this is in Florence, Arizona. And again, if you know anything about the Old West, Florence, Arizona, is kind of a cowboy town, a lot of cowboy history. And when we were buying this old Circle K, it's like on Main Street in Maine, and it just was this boarded up building for years. And so we bought it and we turned it into this great physical therapy clinic that now services the community. But it's just funny because going through the acquisition process, we had to clear some mining rights back when that was put in place when Arizona was a territory, not even a state. So that was a fun one I had never done before, is having to get a title company to help us figure out how we get around some mining rights from a territory, not a state.
That's amazing.
That was an interesting one. But yeah, I think we got the numbers here on this one. So again, bought the old Circle K for $350, put about $260 into it, had the property sold for $884, took about 5 months to do everything front to back. And that was a great deal, and it was a lot of fun to work on.
I love it. So now let's talk about what I'm super, super excited about. This one I'm really excited about. So our current opportunity is we have another one of these available, which I'm really excited about. It's coming, it's the new year, beautiful way to start the new year. So you want to talk about this, who these are?
Yeah, so we've got another great opportunity. So we've recently, as we've been gaining traction with our model, we've had a lot of different veterinary groups reach out to us. And so we're actually working with a couple of groups now. One of the groups is called Encore, and great company out of New York. They're private equity backed, so they've got some big players behind them. They currently have about 61 locations, and they are tasking us to come in and reposition some of their best performing clinics. Meaning last year we bought a building in Ohio. They were jam-packed in this small 1,600 square foot space. It's one of their busiest clinics, and they needed just more space. And so we bought a building across the street, put them in about 5,000 square feet. And now that is, again, they shared with us a couple of days ago that clinic is at 130% of their projections right now. They're just killing it. And this is another opportunity. So we did such a good job on the one in Ohio. This is another one in Virginia Beach. They said, hey, we've got a clinic. You can see on that map, the 2 dots. We've got a clinic right now. We're in like 6,500 square feet. We just need more room. We need more room. Anything you guys can do to help us. And so we looked out and said, yeah, we found this building that's very, very close. It's about 10, 11,000 square feet. And we're able to put a deal together. And they said, awesome. They've already signed the 15-year lease with us. We have that done. We're scheduled to close on the property here towards the end of February. We've already got a national contractor going meaning they're putting the plans and everything in place so they can start the construction. And we know that 6 months after we close escrow, we'll be in the money. Rent is going to commence, and we will be cash flowing. Our plan with this one, because it's a little bit bigger clinic, and because we have 3% annual increases in the rent, we want to hold this one for 2 to 3 years and package it with some of the other ones with the same tenant until we can get to a little bit larger portfolio, and then we'll be looking to exit. probably in that 2 to 3 year time frame. So this is some of the deal terms that we're working on. So we're in the process of securing a loan for 3.6 million. It'll be an interest-only loan, targeting right around 10%. And what's interesting again about the power of that commercial lease, our total deal cost is around $4 million. And so the loan to cost is almost 90-10, right? Like who does that? 90% financing. But because the value creation is in the lease, it's not in the construction. The value creation is in the lease. That's how we're able to achieve day one when we buy the property. We know we've already increased the value by a couple $1 million, right? And so now our actual loan to value on the property is 60-40, not 90-10 based on the cost. So again, plan is to hold it for 2 to 3 years. And then I will let Miss Catherine Bell talk about the limited partner returns because that's her expertise.
Yes. So this is for accredited investors only. And so it's a minimum of 50,000 to come in. You can obviously do more than that if you want, but I'm really excited about the cash on cash returns, as you can see there. At the end of the day, I mean, your money is doubling. Like that's pretty extraordinary. So we're doing an 8% preferred return, plus you get to participate in the equity split of the cash flow, which I'm really excited about. So at the end of the day, 34% annualized returns, pretty amazing. And I know it says here that the documents need to be signed by the 7th. It has been extended out for a week, so you still have time to get in on this. We already have several investors in who are really excited. We're only looking for a couple of more. So the question is it you? Are you going to be the lucky one to be able to participate in this and be a part of leaving every person, property, and community better than we found them? So the next steps in this process are for you to go into our portal. You go to titanimpactgroup.com. That's titanimpactgroup.com. And you can see the link there. And you log in, you enter your information, you can review all the documents, do a soft commitment, make sure that your team is reviewing the documents, your legal, your accounting, all that. And then once they're happy with that, you sign the documents and then you wire the money in and we start adding commas to your bank account. It's a really simple, easy process. So it is a $450,000 raise. Again, you still have time to get in there and be a part of this extraordinary deal. And if you have questions, you're welcome to set up a call with Tim. You're also welcome to set up a call with me. My contact information is on our website as well. And if you have further deeper questions about the actual project, I know that Adam would be available as well.
Yeah,
So,
I'd welcome the opportunity to chat more about it and share with you guys, or even allow you to review some of the documents if you want to do the deeper dive into the lease or any of that. We're happy to help share and facilitate that.
yes, and if you happen to be watching this recording after the whole thing is closed, we do have more coming up. So I would welcome a call with you to, be introduced to you, learn more about you, and have you be able to be one of the first ones that gets notified when we have another deal that's, that'll be coming up later on this year. So with that, thank you. We appreciate your time, and we hope that you have an extraordinary day. Bye for
Thank you,
now,
guys.
everyone.
Appreciate your time.